Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and for unboxings.com, and here I have the much anticipated and eagerly awaited Sony Ericsson Xperia X10. This is an Android powered device. We've known about it for quite some time, but it seems to be that it's, well, just a little way off before it sees official launch, but you can probably get it on some of the mobile networks here in the UK, and it'll soon be available SIM free. So this is the X10 itself, which we'll take a look at in a bit more detail in a second. Just want to show you what else we get inside the box. I actually have this is a European model, which is evident by the European plug that I have there, and I also have manuals in practically every language but English, but obviously that will clearly change when it actually does make a full UK launch. But we have a series of manuals and warranty cards, that sort of stuff inside the box. We then have a standard USB to micro USB sync and charge cable. That will work with the mains adapter that has a USB connector on that. We then have, there we go, we have a screen protector provided, which is not specifically for the top of the display where the loudspeaker is. So obviously supplied, as you can see. We have a set of headphones, going to just take a very quick look at, and they are headphones rather than a headset because it's a 3-pole 3.5mm jack, so it's headphones, not a headset. But with that said, and they are really good in-ear style ones. We've seen these on Sony Ericsson sets before, they're good. That said, about the headphones, they are, as I say, only headphones, but you do get this inline Bluetooth adapter, which connects to the handset over Bluetooth. Has a 3.5mm headphone socket on the top, so you can plug in the headphones that come with it, or any headphones. Has a microphone as well, so it works as a headset. Got volume controls on it. It's got a display on it, and it has controls on the back for play, pause, and skip your tracks. Clothing clip, power button on the bottom, and a micro USB socket on the bottom so you can charge it. So the idea here is that you can use it as a stereo headphone adapter, Bluetooth adapter, or as a Bluetooth headset. So that's pretty cool. And well, I guess that's indicative of the fact that we do have an FM radio as well on the handset. So that's pretty cool. That's all the stuff that you get in the box. Pretty decent to have the Bluetooth adapter. I think that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the handset itself then. So let me just peel off the screen protector, or the one that's used for while it's in transit. We have a generous 4-inch display, and it's WVGA, so 480 by 800 pixels, capacitive touchscreen. I have a series of buttons underneath, 3 in total, so a menu button, a back button, and a kind of a home button. Loudspeaker on the top as well, as you can see there, just at the front. On the bottom, really nothing to see. There's an eyelet there. That's actually an eyelet for if you want to connect up a lanyard. And around on the left hand side, again, really nothing to see. This side is completely clear and clean. As you can see, there's a slight sort of curve back to it, which is quoted by Sony Ericsson as being a human curvature. So it actually fits in designed to fit in the palm of your hand neatly and nicely. On the right hand side, dedicated camera button and up and down volume control rocker. That's all on the right. On the top, there is the power button, 3.5mm headphone socket, so that if we don't want to use the Bluetooth headset, we can actually use the socket there on top to actually plug in a headset or our headphones. And then there's a cover over a micro USB sync and charge connector on there. On the back, we have an 8.1 megapixel autofocus camera. Pretty decent to have an 8.1. I don't know of many, if any, other Android handsets that have such a high megapixel count on their cameras. There's a flash underneath. It's an LED style flash. Back cover pops off like so. Just kind of peels off if you like. Battery is already installed, as you can see there, and it's a 1500 mAh battery. SIM card just slides in place underneath there, and then we have a micro SD memory card, SDHC memory card. The one that comes here is 16 gig. What capacity we actually end up getting once it sees launch here in the UK Not totally sure. It may vary by network and region and everything else. So in the UK, not sure what that will be. As I say, that's undetermined at the moment. So let's just put all that back on. Let me just power up, and while we wait for that to start up, I'll run down the rest of the hardware specification. It is a 1 GHz processor. It's a Snapdragon processor. 1 GB of internal memory. As I say, 4-inch display, pretty large. It is 480 by 800 pixels, capacitive touchscreen. The operating system is Android 1.6. Well, that might be the only sort of slight weakness with this handset, because obviously Android 2.0 and 2.1 are available now. Built-in GPS and Google Maps already pre-installed, and a product called WisePlot navigation. Micro SD card slot supports up to 32 gig. You have Google Search, Google Mail, Google Calendar, YouTube applications, say 8.1 megapixel camera supports, geotagging, face recognition, all that sort of thing, and smile detection too. Dimensions, well, 119mm from top to bottom, 63mm wide and just 13mm thick, and it actually seems thinner than 13mm, but that I think is down to the styling. And 135 grams, and it does feel quite lightweight. 135 grams, not heavy, but it feels lighter than 135 grams, I'd say. I think that's to do with the styling. Quad band for GSM, tri-band for HSDPA, so it's going to work pretty much everywhere. On the front screen here, as you can see, it's not the brightest at the moment. We can actually turn up the backlight brightness, and I will have a more detailed video later on of the operating system, but just for a quick look, we swipe to unlock. Let's do that now. Swipe to unlock. First of all, we have to set it up, so we're going to set to English United Kingdom, and my location is United Kingdom. Date and time I'm going to leave, and internet settings I'm going to leave, and that just basically drops us into Android. On the desktop we have, well, this would be have Timescape once we actually set up our settings for that and our internet connection. Timescape buttons, Mediascape buttons, messaging and dialer at the bottom. Fairly typical of Android in terms of the fact that we've got panels, we've got Google Search on one, and then settings for wireless, Bluetooth, actual connection, and then our audio settings. And we can go the other way. And then we have most view and history. This is to do with Internet Explorer. We've only got 3 panels, but we can actually put on those pretty much whatever we want, be it shortcuts or widgets. They can actually be added on. Pushing the area at the bottom does bring up the launcher, and we can see all the programs that are installed. And well, because obviously this is 1.6, there's no native Exchange ActiveSync support, so we can use Moxia Calendar, Contacts, Moxia Mail and Moxia Sync for actually using an Exchange server for our email. There's Gmail, there's Android Market, Google Maps, all the sorts of things that you'd probably expect to see on an Android powered handset. And there is the WisePlot, which is the satellite navigation, YouTube and Track ID, settings, and a few other bits and pieces there. All pretty straightforward. Now I'm actually going to move indoors where it'll be slightly less bright. We'll have a look at some of those applications in a bit more detail. Okay, so I've moved indoors where I can control the actual brightness a little bit better. So let's take a look at the X10 in a little bit more detail and have a play around with some of the menus and some of the applications. So first of all, we'll do the swipe to unlock, and we're going to go into set up the Wi-Fi network first of all. So we do that by pushing this button here, going into settings, and we go to at the top, we go to wireless controls and Wi-Fi settings. We'll turn Wi-Fi on first of all, and we're going to Wi-Fi settings and add a Wi-Fi network, and I'll just put in my access key. That's it, we're connected to the Wi-Fi network, and to just make sure that's working, let's go into the web browser, and we're seeing Google. Now if I want to go to another page or another site, you'd think that you just tap on the address bar at the top. You don't, you have to go to the buttons down the bottom, go to go, that brings up the address bar, and then we can actually go ahead and type something else in. So let's go ahead and do that, and type in Tracy and Matt. Let's see how quickly that loads on this browser. Bearing in mind I'm using a wireless network, and ADSL. So unlike the browser, the WebKit browser on the Nexus 1 and some of the other Android devices that we've seen, it doesn't load the page to fit in the window now. And unfortunately we also don't have multi-touch, so I can't pinch to zoom in, and I've actually managed to tap on one of the adverts there, but I can't pinch to zoom. I can use my finger to actually scroll around the display, but I can't pinch to zoom. I can zoom out using the buttons at the side, which is fine, and that works. I can gradually zoom out to eventually see the whole page, which obviously takes a second or two. Probably there's a setting for that. I mean, once you actually get that view, it's really good. I mean, the page layout, actually all on one screen, looks great. I'm actually navigating around is fine and that size, and I can actually rotate the display and it fits that way too. So quite why it doesn't do that when you actually first go to a website, well, it's slightly beyond me, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, once you actually get to where you want to be and you can navigate around, and it works just fine, just as you'd expect it to do. And the browser is actually pretty good. With apart from that, and we've got an embedded YouTube video there, for example, which we can just tap on, and it will actually load up. As you can see, they out and play with the YouTube client. So that's fine, and say just get over those few things. I'm sure it's just a setting option that I'm missing there. I'll actually get that set up. We'll also have a look in here, and while we're at it, let's go and set up Android Market. There we go, next, and we'll sign into my account, and we'll just let that sign in. It takes a second or two to do so, and we'll accept the terms of the Android Market. Okay, and there we go, Android Market is loaded. Again, Android Market is pretty much the same, doesn't really matter what device Android device you actually load it up on. So you have apps, and you also then have your games, and you have actual downloads, and it'll be a list of things that you've downloaded along with updates. There's an update for Google Maps there, as you can see, and if I can go in there and I can click on update, and allow that to update, and OK that. It'll go ahead and download that in the background, as is evident by a little icon in the corner there, which basically signifies the fact it's downloading. As you can see there, it's downloading pretty quickly. We'll actually come out of there, downloading will continue, and obviously as you can see here, as I've now connected to a wireless network, it's picked up the time, the actual correct time from the wireless network as well, so that's pretty cool. We can go into Timescape, and we'll actually set up Timescape. Now we'll set up services, and first of all I'm going to set up Twitter, but you can set up Facebook, Twitter and MySpace. I'm going to set up Twitter because everything else kind of falls into place afterwards. And let's just let that log in. Okay, so I have my Twitter account there. It's saying that it's going to take a while to synchronise. It sets up update automatic never. Well, let's set it to every 15 minutes anyway, and we'll just pop back out of there. So that's my account set up. We'll wait for that to go ahead and synchronise. While we're waiting for it, we'll just pop into Mediascape. Now we have music listed, and I don't know if we have any music audio. We do have a couple of tracks on here that you can actually listen to that are pre-installed. Though it doesn't seem to actually want to play. We'll just come back out of that for now. That's music. None of those tracks seem to want to play. I'm obviously missing something, but for the sake of speed, let's go ahead and look at something else instead. Let's look at more videos, and let's pick the emotive video and let that start playing. So as you can see there, it's playing. Now what you'll not be able to really appreciate in the video that I'm recording here is just how nice the screen is. It is it's a very nice display. It's very sharp. Obviously 4-inch means that it's very good for video, but if I rotate it, obviously fills the screen and plays beautifully. And if I rotate back, you'll notice how quickly the video rotates. The music doesn't miss a beat, but there is just the briefest pause in the video playback as it rotates. It's very, very little in terms of that, so that's pretty cool. And also we've got photos, and we can look at the photo stream. You've got the camera roll. At the bottom you've got my albums, friends, and well, let's go to my albums. Click on pictures. One thing that I've already pointed out to Sony Ericsson, and I've mentioned earlier on the podcast, is there's only 13 sample photos pre-installed on the X10, and these are the thumbnails for those 13 photos. Yet they, despite the fact that the X10 has a 1 GHz processor and plenty of memory, it seems to take rather a long time to load these thumbnails. And if I go into an image, as you can see, it's taking a while to load the image. So much so that I've actually got bored. And I've gone back here, and despite it already having loaded the first 3 thumbnails before I went in to look at them, it's going away and basically redoing the thumbnails again. So I think that's just a bit of a bug, to be honest with you, in sort of the media stuff in Mediascape. Let's pop back into Timescape, and as we're back into Timescape, you can see that it's actually updated. Now Timescape kind of works on, well, pretty much an infinite basis. So these are all people I'm following on Twitter and all their Twitter updates, and I can scroll kind of backwards through time. So this is 4 minutes ago, and if I keep going, it should eventually go to, well, more than 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. There we go. And there we go, it's kind of in the process of updating itself again already, so 1 minute ago. So that's all of the tweets. Missed calls, got messages. I don't have any messages, obviously I haven't got anything set up. Email, again, don't have anything set up. No captured photos or videos. No recently played music, as you'd expect. So all the Twitter updates there. All the Facebook updates would be listed there. MySpace here. And then back to everything, and this is everything listed, and this would eventually update with images. Now I can click on a single person, and I'm going to pick somebody at pretty much random, and that just brings that one up a bit larger so you can actually see it. Let me pop back out of there. So also Timescape will actually load up the top here, and I can tap on it and go straight into Timescape, and all the updates will actually be shown there as well, so that's quite cool. Messaging, well, I'll pop into the messaging client anyway and select new message, tap to compose. As you can see there, we've got a reasonably large full QWERTY keyboard. It's a fairly standard Android keyboard. There are some exceptions and some changes along to the bottom row. There's some smileys and some other bits and pieces sort of included. But when I actually rotate the handset, the display doesn't rotate and I don't get a landscape QWERTY keyboard. Now, I don't know if that's just in the messaging, text messaging client or everywhere, but that doesn't seem to actually want to do anything. I don't know if that's just down to particular implementation of Android or the handset itself. And as you can see there, this feed is updated since we've actually been in there. We will go ahead and have a look at the maps because we downloaded the latest version of Google Maps, and that's already started to load on there. And we can select different layers, and we can include satellite imaging as another layer, and go ahead and zoom in and so on. Now it seems to be taking a while to load despite being over there. There we go. So it's a pretty standard implementation of basically Google Maps anyway, so that's pretty straightforward. Google Mail, because that's associated with my Android Market account, because I've signed in, so I actually do have that already there, so I don't have to set up Android Market and Google Mail. That all works in one go, and you get the idea. That's how it actually displays your email, so that's pretty cool. Now to set up Exchange Active Sync or Exchange Email, you have to use Moxia. So Moxia Sync with Moxia Mail, Contacts, Calendar and so on. MySpace is an application that's actually included in its own right, an Office suite. You get your phone book, Play Now, Quadrupop, which is obviously a game there as you can see. And you've got the settings, Sony Ericsson Sync, Track ID, Wise Pilot is actually a sat-nav application. Let's have a quick look at the full YouTube client, and well, let's actually go and search for me. There we go. So this is actually my YouTube account. Let's go ahead and pick a video. And that starts playing, and it plays okay. Takes a few seconds to start, but that's a YouTube client. Again, it's pretty straightforward as a YouTube client. It's pretty much as we come to expect from the client itself. Let's go into the camera. Wait for that to open up. And it's basically just quickly grab something that's we can put in a way to take a photograph of. There we go. There's a bit of reflection on there, but it works much like a proper digital camera in that it's partial press on the button on the side to actually set the focus, and you press it again to take the picture, and the picture's taken, goes into your camera roll as you can see there. And if I actually click on it, I actually can see it in here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it, so I don't really want to keep that, but it works quite well. Obviously has a flash on the back, and I can set all the settings for that. I can also record video as well as photos and stills and whatever else. The phone dialer works quite well, again because it's capacitive touchscreen. It's pretty sensitive to touch, so it works very well. And it's a nicely skinned dialer as well. Matches the rest of obviously the design that Sony Ericsson have actually gone ahead and skinned or customised the implementation of Android over the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be using it as my main device, so that I can give you a more detailed review of what it's like over a period of time, what it's like to use, what are the plus points and what are the negative points of the handset, and I'll post that review over the next couple of weeks. And don't forget, there'll be more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk very soon.